Welcome back to Masterpiece Tarot. I'm Tala, also known as the Nerdy Healer. I just did a really cool reading and I want to pull a little bit more on the two energies that came through. Masculine, in that last reading, was going through a dark night of the soul, so I want to pull a little bit more on that energy. And then I want to do one for the feminine, who is this, whoever you are, feminine, you are a powerful light worker, and I want to get some more energy on that energy. So, let's start with masculine, Spirit. Tell us a little bit more about masculine here, who's going through a dark night of the soul. What's going on here with masculine, who's going through a dark night of the soul? Four of Cups, having trouble receiving love. Okay. This is a masculine who needs to work on his inner, balancing his inner masculine and feminine energy. I think sometimes, when receiving is out of balance, it's because the giving is out of balance. Those two things are kind of need to harmonize. So for this masculine, I think there's a need to look at that. Are you giving too much? Is it leaving you depleted? Is there conditioning from, childhood that, sent a message that you as a masculine must be the provider, And so you're doing that from an honorable place, but it's leaving you out of balance, perhaps. And you're looking at it now because you're going through this dark night of the soul. There's a Queen of Cups. This could be somebody else. This could be somebody loving, nurturing, kind, compassionate, motherly. This could be also an aspect of yourself. You could have that motherly quality about you where you really like to be nurturing. It could be that you're providing too much. I think the Queen of Cups can do that sometimes. Water just flows everywhere. It's not really contained, and sometimes it needs to be contained. It needs to be directed in the right way. Kind of like, if you build like a aqueduct or something to move the water where you need it to go within a city, or irrigation ditches to water the crops properly. What's in the unconscious space here? The Queen of Swords. Okay, this is somebody who is good with her words, right? She's got a powerful imagination, even. Right? She's protective. She's independent. She's intelligent. She's honest. These could be aspects of yourself, masculine. Whether I'm reading for man or woman, doesn't matter. But, if your masculine is going through a dark night of the soul, these could be aspects of yourself that need to be nurtured. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you protecting yourself? Are you being independent? Right? How about in the past for this masculine going through the dark night of the soul? We've got an Eight of Swords. This is somebody who is feeling trapped. This masculine is feeling trapped. Maybe feeling hopeless. He may be dealing with a lot of fears. Like the ball and chain. Something is happening with this masculine where he feels stuck. In the near future, the Chariot. There's going to be movement. Okay, he's determined. He's self-disciplined. He understands that he's having this experience. And he's open to movement. He's open to trying new things, seeing new places. He's willing to be that warrior. How's he seeing himself right now? A Knight of Swords. Well, he sees himself as being, you know, on the move. He's moving quickly towards what he wants. He wants to get out of this darkness. He wants to get out of this feeling of entrapment. He may be trapped in his own mind. He could be trapped in a situation. And he wants to, you know, cut his way out. Right? He wants to chop down whatever it is that's holding him there. Others? Well, others are happy to see this masculine taking these steps towards self-empowerment. Others are happy. Of course, it's hard to watch somebody that you love, care about, are related to, whatever the case may be. It's always hard to watch somebody going through struggles. That masculine in the last reading, you know, was dealing with devil energy, addiction, obsession, right? Control issues. But they're happy because they understand that he is himself wanting to make changes. Hopes and fears, Nine of Swords. Yeah, there's a real feeling of being up in the head. What am I going to do? You know, he's feeling guilty. He might be feeling depressed. He might be feeling scared. He might be at a breaking point. So that's the fear, is that he'll break. You know, he's afraid that his guilt will completely consume him and he'll, you know, die of alcohol poisoning. I mean, this is the feeling. I can't get I can't bring my willpower to bear. I can't make these changes happen, even though I need to make these changes happen. What if I don't? What if I can't? What's the outcome, Spirit, for this masculine? The Hanged Man. Well, he's going to be making some sacrifices. He's not sure. He's going to be trying to look at this from different perspectives. He is waiting for some kind of enlightenment with that halo around his head. Right? He's allowing himself to be guided by his intuition, or he is using his intuition to work his way through this dark night of the soul. Let's clarify, Spirit. Let's get something with the Four of Cups here. We've got a Page of Swords. The King of Swords. And an Eight of Wands. Okay. Well, this is a masculine who's, you know, considering what he's going to do. He's got some ideas that are developing and maturing, and he's ready to take action on them. He's ready to talk about it, right? This is all swords right here. He's ready to communicate. He's ready to use his imagination. He's ready to come up with lots of ideas. And not only that, but he's embodying this King of Swords, king. Right? one step away from the Emperor. So he's really mastered some of this stuff. And this is one of his strengths. He's going to use this to help him get through this dark night of the soul. He's going to use his voice. And he's going to use the power of the universe, right? Like these swords are flying through the air, and they're all moving in the same direction. And this could represent people around him, influences around him that are guiding him forward, guiding him in the right direction. You see with those two birds, there's a sense of balance. There's a sense of unity. Everybody's going in the same direction here, right? Out of this darkness. He's going to perhaps be carried along by some messengers. Some little winged messengers, little angels, little birds. I don't know, spirit guides. Spirit animals. Tell us about the Queen of Cups. Okay, we've got an Eight of Cups, a Judgment, and a High Priestess. All right. I think this masculine could be walking away from a water sign feminine, the Queen of Cups, which goes against your intuition. It could be really hard to do that. Somebody who's loving, nurturing, kind. But we see him walking away. And he's receiving some, reflection. He's having an awakening about this. He's being, I think, guided to use his intuition about whatever situation this is, whatever this dark night of the soul is. These two feminines, this awakening energy here, the Judgment and the High Priestess, are looking at him as he's walking away. They're sort of in the future. These two energies. This Queen of Cups is sort of in his past, because he's really walking away from her. And going towards a higher calling, something deeper, maybe something more spiritual even. The Queen of Cups is very loving, nurturing, and motherly even. But the Judgment and the High Priestess represent, I think, in some ways a little bit, I don't want to say a higher frequency, but something deeper, something more profound, maybe something something that is reflective of his own soul. The Queen of Cups is kind of like his own mother. And this is more like his own higher self, expressed as a feminine energy. Whatever that means to this masculine who's going through the dark night of the soul. Tell us about the Queen of Swords. What can you tell us about the Queen of Swords in this position that he's not seeing? The Two of Pentacles. A Two of Wands, another two. Wow. And a Six of Cups. Wow, okay. Twos are about choice. They're about duality. They can also be about partnerships. And so, with the Queen of Swords here, he may be needing to reflect on the choices that he's made in the past, the ways in which he's tried to juggle, perhaps his own needs, desires, wants with somebody else's? Has it been balanced or not? Has he considered this question? What does he want to choose, right? There's an innocence here with these past life soulmates. There's a sense of nostalgia. There's a partnership here. Queen of Swords cuts out what doesn't serve her. Yes, she's honest. Yes, she's protective. Yes, she's highly intelligent and verbose, right? So in what ways is he not seeing this other side of himself? Because we're kind of in partnership with ourselves too. It's not just about another person, but it's about our ego communicating with our higher self. You know, the ego being how we think others see us here on the earthly plane, and the higher self being that part of us that's really connected to spirit. And so part of this dark night of the soul might relate to there being a need to cut out ego, or cut out, make a choice that lets you focus more on your soul, what truly brings you happiness, right? Like these two, that is such a good feeling when you have that with somebody. Might be a need to ask yourself, can I realistically juggle these two? Is that really what I want to do? How's that working out for me? Truly. Would it be different if I cut something out? Would it be different if I just carried one? And when I look at this card, it's like this pentacle and this pentacle are enclosed within this infinity. They can't expand. It's almost like they're constricted there, right? Maybe there's a sense of balance, maybe so, but is there room for expansion? You know, the 2 moves into the 3, which is partnerships. You have, and so if we're talking about matters of the heart, there might be a need to look at that. If we're talking about in business, this divine masculine might be needing to think about, how do I expand, right? What's holding me back from healthier partnerships? Or even something new, a new way of doing things. Am I holding myself back here, trying to juggle? So in the recent past, the 8 of Swords is being clarified by the 5 of Pentacles, or 9 of Pentacles, and a Knight of Cups. Well, he's feeling left out in the cold because he brought his cup towards somebody who's looking away. Yes, the 9 of Pentacles is an abundant and beautiful energy. However, that energy, she probably has a lot of choices. She's, almost at the 10 and doesn't really need a Knight of Cups necessarily. And so he may have chosen a path that didn't choose him, or that wasn't in alignment in some way, that left him feeling like he was being juggled, maybe. Right? Left him feeling like, no thanks, this isn't a fit. I actually don't want that cup. Right? So the Dark Night of the Soul could be about something internal where he's not, able to receive, but it could also be about the way in which he was making choices. That happens sometimes. We think we're making a good choice, but then the person that, or the situation that we choose ends up being not quite what we want, or not even close, so much so that it pushes you into some kind of dark night of the soul where you realize, my gosh, I'm way out of alignment with who I'm supposed to be. I have to go on this journey now and figure some stuff out. What's holding me back and stuff. Tell us about this movement here in the future. What can you tell us about the Chariot? How is this masculine going to be moving forward? What's that going to look like? How's that going to feel for him? King of Cups, loving himself. He knows that getting on his chariot, whatever that means to him, is an act of self-love. There's that Four of Cups again. Well, he's going to be carrying that shadow for a while. It's going to take time to integrate that part of him that had a hard time receiving, that isn't making good choices. But the good news here is that he's heading towards an emperor. The emperor is all four kings. This is somebody who runs a kingdom. He's a boss. He is in control of his life. He's successful. And he's moving towards it with love. Okay? He's not afraid to look at his shadow. Yes, it's dark. Yes, it's scary and difficult. But he's got an idea about where he's headed, who he's becoming, and he feels good about it. He feels good about it with the King of Cups. Right? That's a lot of healing. All that water. The time that he spends in the dark, in the shadow space, it's sort of like a seedling being in the dirt. It's gathering nutrients, and it's in a process of sprouting. So it's a time of germination as much as it is a dark night of the soul. And tell us about the Knight of Swords. This is how the masculine is feeling about himself. Okay, so he's recognizing that he's undergoing some big changes. He, might be going against what other people think he should be doing, but doesn't care. Doesn't care because he's listening to his own inner guidance system. He's following what his higher self is telling him to do. He's coping in the way he needs to cope. Right? Other people might find it crazy or rebellious or something, but it's working for him. And that's how he feels about it. He's on the move, and he's in his truth. He's standing in his truth. And let's get 3 cards here. We've got the Ten of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. He knows he's betrayed himself. He knows that he's put himself in this position in some ways through his choices. Right? Maybe or may not be conscious of that, but that is the truth, and he'll figure it out. because he is moving forward and becoming more enlightened. His work is beginning to pay off. And again, he knows where he's headed, this Ten of Pentacles. Happiest, not the happiest card in the deck, but a happy and fulfilling life. Family, connection, love. Oh, Pentacles, sorry. Thought that was Cups. Similar energy, very abundant, right? Able to give to others. A completion. He's sort of reached the place where he wants to be. And that's how he's feeling. He's feeling like he's doing the right things to get himself there. Why are others feeling so optimistic about this, Spirit? Why are others happy for him and happy to see this change despite the darkness of it all and the difficulty that it brings, especially to the masculine? Why are they happy? Well, we've got the Two of Swords. Ah, Justice. And Three of Pentacles. Okay, Spirit, what can you tell us here? Again, there's this feeling of honesty. There's this sense that whatever is happening is bringing about justice, a truth, maybe a truth that's been buried, hidden, conveniently forgotten, neglected. There's something that's occurring because of what this masculine is doing, despite some of the fears, some of the unknowables, even some of the energies around that may be quite defensive and not happy about it. Despite this, the energy, the main energy is that of the sun. And from this justice, from this balancing out of the scales, it could even be through some kind of legal action. This could happen in the courts. But as this process unfolds, there's going to be an opportunity to create new partnerships, build something of value even, right, with this. I don't know if it's like a church. It kind of looks like it could be like a temple or something like that. Yeah. The sun is illuminating the fact that there are people, energies, who feel challenged by this movement. Because, a dark night of the soul, while the person going through it may be suffering, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that will mean changes for this masculine and for those who are around him. And some aren't going to like the changes. That just goes without saying. Anytime a system changes, new structures and pathways and choices and ways of being come about. And change can be difficult for some people, despite the opportunities that are inherent in changes. Tell us about the Nine of Swords. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The fear is, that you're not going to get through. This masculine's fear is that he's not going to get through the dark night of the soul. This is just going to go on endlessly. He's never going to get any sleep. He's going to have a nervous breakdown. He's going to have to, I don't know, go to the hospital, go live with mom. I don't know. Lose all of his money. Whatever the fear is, lose his wife, lose the love of his life. I mean, who knows? It could be anything. But it's big, and it's scary. clarified by the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. Gosh, I feel like we had these same cards. Okay. Well, the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Wands. We've got a feminine fire sign here. Fire sign feminine. And we've got the Knight of Swords. This is a air sign masculine or feminine. Actually, it's a feminine, I think, in this photo. It doesn't really matter, but air sign and a fire sign. They are facing away from each other. These could be two energies in his life. He could have a fear of conflict. He could be afraid that whatever choice he's going to make, whatever decisions, however he's going to grow and change, that this is going to cause some kind of separation, some kind of opposition that's going to break some system apart, some familiar family pattern apart. Maybe it's going to, you know, break up relationships. Sometimes we do distance ourselves from our family members when we grow and change. Sometimes we distance ourselves from friends. And that could be a source of grief, you know. And that kind of relates to this main card here with the Four of Cups. This is somebody who has a hard time receiving. Sometimes we have a hard time receiving because we have fear of abandonment. And so the shadow that might be up for him is this fear of loss or being abandoned. You know, if he has to choose one, the other's going to go away. They might decide they hate him. They might decide, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And there's a fear of abandonment in this. The hope, though, is that this can be balanced out. And here we see two feminines on the bottom. I like how their arms and hands are intertwined, or the juxtaposition. They're balanced. The light and the shadow. These are legitimate fears for anybody going through a dark night of the soul. Like we were saying, the dark night of the soul, whatever kind of painful season of growing you may be going through, remember, nothing ever stays the same. Change is the truth. Things are constantly changing. Nothing ever stays the same. So, for the individual going through this difficult period in life, stay positive, okay? Stay positive. It's okay to feel like this, but realize these feelings are choices, okay? And that's backed up by what's here in the unconscious. This is a masculine who is forgetting or not remembering how powerful choice is and how integral to himself with the Six of Cups that is to his being. You always have the power to choose in every moment. Every thought is a choice. Every action is a choice. And tell us about the Hanged Man, Spirit. Tell us about this sacrifice. What's going to be sacrificed? What's this person going to have to sacrifice? What are they going to choose to sacrifice? What new perspective are they gaining? What are they feeling uncertain about? Eight of Pentacles. Might need to be a change in work, change of job, change in how you earn money, maybe a change in what you're building, you know, in the world of relationships or partnerships. There could be some uncertainty about whether there's going to be success. We've got the Nine of Swords. There it is again, up in the head. And the Five of Wands. Competition. So these are like thoughts in his head that are competing for dominance. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting somebody who is duking it out in the inner, you know? When we have well-worn thinking patterns in our minds, they're like well-traveled roads. They're familiar, we know the way, there's something comforting about something that we are familiar with, and it's kind of unconscious, right? Sometimes you know, leave a place and you're suddenly at home and you're like, I don't remember a single thing about that drive. I was totally someplace else. And there's a sense of unconsciousness, right? And so as this masculine is building this new system, this new life for himself, he's needing to see, think about his thoughts, think about his behaviors and his choices in a new way. And as these new ideas come in, and that's what he's doing, remember, he's having all these new ideas. He's having all these new ideas here with the Four of Cups. Remember? And he's taking these new ideas with him on this journey of self-discovery through this darkness as he confronts these shadows. And so, yeah, he's changing his perspective. He's understanding that there are many choices and that, you know, we've got to spend as much time as, you know, this person needs to stay here in this position as long as it takes. This can, you know, be a sense of waiting. You can't hurry this process up. Things have to marinate. Things have to be digested in their own time. I do think this is a masculine who's understanding, though, that to have speed, one needs to be clear. One needs to use a sword. You got to cut out what's maybe clouding your understanding, whatever's making you foggy. Maybe it's an environment, maybe it's what you're putting in your body, maybe it's what you're choosing to do on a day-to-day basis. You might need to change things up, right? Let the best ideas become your best actions. You know, choose and strengthen those things in your life that are going to allow you to be victorious, to move ahead. If there are 20 things to do in a day, and you know that if you try to do all 20, you're going to be exhausted, what would it be like if you chose just 5, the top 5, the 5 that are going to be the most successful, and you did those really well, right? So cutting out what's not serving, all these swords, and allowing, let's say, those 2 light-colored ones to be the dominant ones, or these 3 darker ones. So, for this person going through this dark night of the soul, hang in there. You're doing great. Keep making wise choices. Use the elements, right? be imaginative, take action, stay grounded, and of course, love yourself. You've got all the tools you need, masculine. And let's get a couple of these oracle cards here. What messages can you give to us here for this masculine? For anybody going through a dark night of the soul. What does a germinating seed need to know? Release. You're being asked to release any toxic people or situations from your life. You deserve to be free of all drama, and this is the first step to achieving that. And we have a little dove being released from the hands. Yeah, somebody's setting themselves free here. That's your message. Let's get like 2 more. I love these messages. Focus. You're being asked to shift your focus away from what isn't working and toward what is. Paying extra attention to where you place your focus is the first step toward creating an amazing life. And healing. Your body, mind, and soul are in a period of deep healing right now. You're going through many transformations at once, and you're being asked to allow yourself to receive the healing you need with open arms and an open heart. And I love that, because that really speaks to the energy that this individual is in. It's really hard for this masculine, we're reading for masculine, to receive that cup of love, but the divine is really trying to give it to you, masculine. Okay? And you are going through transformation, and you do have all of the tools. And if you keep your heart open, I'm telling you, Spirit will guide you exactly where you need to go. You're going to see exactly what you need to see. All right? Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now.